This is, as I said, a hybrid war. As everyone understands, it's a hybrid war. And the Ukrainian government emphasizes the information aspect, the psychological aspect, more than the Russians do, because they have the edge. Their allies are the masters of this, the US and NATO. And so I interviewed a 13-year-old from Lugansk last week named Faina Sevankova, who is on what is now informally known as a government-sponsored kill list in Ukraine, known as Mirotvorets, or the Peacemaker. She's one of over 320 children listed on this website. Their personal information is provided down to their phone numbers, personal details. If you look at her page, there are so many photographs of her. And these are minors. I mean, this is a violation of their human rights. As we pointed out in this interview, the site is maintained with the support of Anton Gerashenko, who's an advisor to the Ukrainian Interior Ministry. It is a government-sponsored website. And Scott, you have a profile on there. Several Americans are on there who are critics of this proxy war. And I wanted to address something that has happened to me recently. I'm not on there, haven't been able to find myself. Maybe the people who edit my Wikipedia page will put me on there. But my Wikipedia page already, serves that purpose. But last month, or I think it was about 6 weeks ago, hundreds of journalists received a email from a former advisor to the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry from a organization called MOLFAR, which is based in London and has been sponsored by the U.S. Agency for International Development and the British Foreign Office. And they were furnishing a dossier of me, which claimed to contain proof that I have been recruited by Russia to be a Russian asset and been given all this vast fortune and a mansion in order to propagandize on behalf of Russia. And that if you wrote back to them as a journalist, you could get this secret dossier. So I had journalistic colleagues write to MOLFAR asking for this, and they actually said, we're not going to give it to you because you're just going to use it against us, because you're not on our side. Eventually, one of them got it, and I saw what it contained. First of all, it showed that I'm extremely frugal and not very wealthy, but it contained some kind of financial intelligence on me, which is, available to the public pretty much. It also contained, it attempted to dox me. It attempted to provide anyone who asked my personal details, but it also attempted to dox every single member of my family. And it even doxed the editor of my younger brother, who's also, works in media, who used to edit for the New York Times, who has nothing to do with this conflict at all, and contains her personal information. And so it was pretty clear what they're trying to do. They're trying to intimidate me into silence with the fear that I could get iced for my personal opinions and my factual journalism about this conflict, and specifically about the role of my own government. And what I think about MOLFAR and what they're doing is they're actually fronting for my government, which is at least legally and formally banned from doing this kind of thing to its own citizens. The intelligence services, the CIA, is not supposed to target American citizens on American soil. So this seems to be an outsourcing operation. To me, this is when you look at what's happening on Mirotvorets, the Peacemaker site, where Daria Dugina, who was killed in a car bomb by a Ukrainian agent, someone who was in the Azov battalion, with their assistance inside Russian territory, and then she's marked as liquidated on that site. It is a kill list, and she's not the only person who's been marked as liquidated. Journalists, there are 400 journalists on this website maintained by the Ukrainian government. The journalists who have been killed have been marked as liquidated. So Scott, you're on that site. What do you think about this dimension of the war? What is the purpose of this site, and what can be done about it?
This is a serious list. I appeared on that list, and shortly thereafter, a YouTube video came out with a guy. It's poorly done, dubbed over with a thick British accent, but it basically said that they're going to hunt me down and kill me. That's what they want to do. That I'm on this list. I will be liquidated next. I don't know what's appearing on your chat. I've been on some podcasts where in the middle of the podcast, people are coming in and in the chat room saying, Ritter go boom boom. Ritter and his family go boom boom, meaning they're going to blow me up. So, again, I'm a grown up. I don't panic, but this is real. This is not a theoretical list. This is not a joke. This is real. People die, and to be on this list is an issue of concern. You talked about the linkage. I don't know what the financial linkage between Miratroritz and the U.S. government is. What I do know is a parallel list called the so-called blacklist, published by the Center for the Center for Countering Disinformation. This center was announced in April. On July 14th, they held a meeting where they published this list. 72 people on it, including many prominent Americans, myself, a less prominent American, and we were called information terrorists. And we were called war criminals who should be prosecuted for war crimes. What we do know is that the salaries of everybody at that institute are paid for by the United States taxpayer. The salaries are linked to money that were approved by Congress through Public Law 117-128, adopted on May 21st of this year, signed into law by President Biden. We pay them their salaries. This meeting was organized by a U.S.-funded NGO that was created by the U.S. Congress. And in attendance at this meeting were State Department officials and members of the U.S. Embassy. So right off the bat, if the embassy wants to say, well, we were just in attendance. Well, what did you think when they published a list with American citizens' names who are being called information terrorists for the sole crime of exercising their freedom of speech? Because that's all I'm guilty of. The three things that are labeled on this site is the Bucha incident, my saying that Ukraine was provided a permanent NATO base, which they did, training facilities prior to this war, and that this was a proxy conflict between NATO and Ukraine. Those three things, which are all fact-based, have labeled me a Russian propagandist. And I don't need to tell this to you guys, that has a chilling effect on your viability and employability. I used to write for a couple outlets. I won't name them out of respect for them, but they know who they are and they know why they released me. And they released me because I wrote also for RT. And they said, we can't be affiliated with a Russian propagandist, words to that effect. So it has a chilling effect, an economic impact on it. But I don't mind that. That's okay. I don't like the concept of being an information terrorist. Why? Because on September 1st and 2nd, there was a second meeting of this organization, again, attended by members of the Department of State and the U.S. Embassy, where they emphasized information terrorists, but they focused on the terrorist aspect and said, we need to treat these people as real terrorists. I've been around the world long enough to know how real terrorists are treated. Targets are put on their back. And why am I concerned about this? Remember when I talked about Gary Tabak and the U.S. flag with the right sector image on it? 60 miles down the road is a town called Ellenville, New York. In Ellenville is a park. In the park is a monument to Stepan Bandera and three other Ukrainian Nazi collaborators, where the Ukrainian American community rallies, holds camps where they train the youth to worship Stepan Bandera. When you have ideologically motivated people like this who have the gall to put the right sector flag over the American banner, living this close to me, and you have the U.S. government saying, oh yeah, we concur, he's an information terrorist, and you have the Miratroritz hit list marking me for death. It doesn't take Tom Clancy to put two and two together to come up with a really cool novel about how somebody knocked off Scott Ritter and his family and maybe killed his dog so his dog didn't bark in the background of interviews. But the point is, this is real. This is a problem in America. We give succor and support to worshipers of Stepan Bandera right here in America. People who are calling people who exercise free speech. And here's the most worrisome aspect of it. They're funded by the U.S. Congress. The Constitution, under the First Amendment, prohibits the U.S. Congress from passing any laws that abridge free speech of Americans in the free press. Congress passed a law, 117-128. They used money to fund a foreign entity who then targets Americans for intimidation and death for exercising their free speech. This is Congress creating a proxy to do that which they were prohibited from doing by law. I'm not taking this sitting down. I'm working right now with some constitutional lawyers, the goal of which is to get a federal injunction freezing all monies appropriated by this law, until which time the State Department disassociates itself from this list and stops funding people who are promulgating this list. This is a significant problem. They're targeting a sitting senator, Senator Rand Paul. He's a big boy. He should be able to take care of it. I don't know why Rand Paul's allowing this to happen. Targeting Diane Sayre, who is a candidate for Chuck Schumer's seat, challenging him in the election. They target Tulsi Gabbard. They target me, McGregor, Ray McGovern, and others.
Roger Waters.
Roger, well, he's British. Target the British all you want. I'm joking.
Right.
Don't try. No, but no. Eva Bartlett, a very brave journalist, she's targeted. This is just absurd. And the Congress is behind this. This is the American government funding the suppression of free speech, which I thought the Constitution prohibited.